Hello, Taurus, and welcome to your week ahead reading for the week of May 29th. Be sure to check out sun, moon, and rising signs for a more well-rounded perspective. And if you're interested in the other offerings that I have for personal readings as well as my Patreon page, the links to that is in the description box below. I'm doing something a little bit different this week. I'm actually doing a rune reading along with the cards, and I have pulled them already. So let's go ahead and start with the rune. And the rune this week we have Pertho. This has to do with birth as well as it has to do with cauldron. There's more nuances to that, but those are the two things that seem to come up the heaviest for me. And I feel like the reason why this is coming through is there's a little bit of giving and receiving that's coming through with this particular reading. The idea of the pot and being open, you know, the cauldron and being open and receiving what you need to receive to be able to brew whatever it is that you need to brew, but also the concept of birth and that you are able to release what needs to be released after you have done whatever you needed to do with what you had received. So you received the gift or the seed. You nurtured it accordingly for however long the gestation was supposed to be nurtured, was supposed to be taking place, but that is over. The gestation is over. You were the receptacle, you received, the gestation period is now over, and now you are supposed to give birth. You are supposed to release this, whatever this is, however this applies to you. So there are things in your life right now that this particular week you have received something in the past, and you have done what you were supposed to do with it during this time period, from the time of conception to from the time that you've received it, and during the entire time you did what you were supposed to do, you tended to it, you cared for it, and what have you. But this particular week, you have reached a point where you're supposed to be releasing, you're supposed to be letting go, and I feel like this is what this is coming in strong with, particularly this particular week. And the King of Cups is continuing on with that intuitive or that spiritual connection. That Cups coming in with the water or emotions or spiritual connection. This is coming in strong with spiritual. So that connection we have over and over and over again in many different myths and legends regarding the spirit connection or the connection to the spirit realm with the water element. This is what I'm tapping into for this particular card. So there is some connections that you're going to have that is very much in tuned with your spiritual connection, that river to the other world, that connection to the other world, the flow from and to the other world that you were receiving. And there's a stillness that's coming with this. And if you look at this particular imagery, this person is on a throne and they're sitting next to the water. They're in a position of receiving whatever it is, or in the position of giving back. Again, like I said, this particular rune comes through as both the receptacle of abundance as well as the release. So this person is either sitting in a position to give back or in a position to receive. That depends on you and your personal life and where you're at as far as how that is supposed to be noted. But this is definitely coming in and fulfilling or continuing on that connection of give and take, give and receive, receiving and releasing. And so this particular week, you're going to be in a position where you might have to take a step back and be a bit reflective. See if you are close to those waters that connect you to the ancestral, that connects you to the spirit realm. Make sure that you are giving back accordingly, and make sure you are also receiving accordingly. Make sure you are dipping into it and drinking from it on a regular basis, but also giving back however often that you need to be giving back. I feel like this is coming in, the next card is coming in as somewhat separate, although it can be a continuation, but there is rebirth, which I find to be a very interesting word that's being played in this particular card, because the Pertho rune also comes through as a birth rune. So you are experiencing, there are some of you who this particular week, you're experiencing a rebirth in some sort, whether it be as a whole or just an element, it doesn't matter. So a lot of times when we consider rebirth, especially in the spiritual community, the conversations and the talking points usually have to do with this whole sense of whole rebirth, a whole new, leaving all of the old and being reborn to absolute newness. But this can also apply to different elements of our life. You know, it can be a new beginning. Maybe you're being reborn into a new job or a new promotion. Maybe you're going to actually physically have a baby this particular week. And so you are going from someone who used to be just a single person who's married to whoever it is that you love, but now you are being reborn. When your child is born, you're being reborn, but your position is now as a mother. You were never a mother before, but now you are. Those kinds of reborns also can partake or be included in this definition. And it doesn't have to be just with the physical. It can be some spiritual changes. It doesn't mean your whole spiritual self is changed or reborn. It can mean that an element of your spiritual path, your spiritual direction, or your spiritual connection has been reborn because of information that you've come across, because of some comprehensions. Maybe you had an epiphany that made some stuff make sense. Maybe you are tapping into an element of your spiritual practice that you've never tapped into before. And so you're being reborn into this new person who taps into whatever this resource is that you've never tapped into before. But there's definitely a bit of a rebirth happening this particular week. And I feel like no matter how much of a struggle it may or may not be, it doesn't feel like it's too terrible, but it's definitely something that you're going to be taking note of. It's not something that you're going to be able to dismiss. You're going to be very aware of it. That's the word I'm looking for. There's an awareness of some changes afoot, essentially. So, giving and receiving, birthing, rebirthing is definitely a strong theme for this particular week. So take that however you want and allow it to guide you as far as how you approach this particular week. And hopefully it's a beautiful one for you. And we will see you in a future video.